Hey guys, taking a look at Bitcoin and going to try to figure out what to expect from Bitcoin over the next little bit here. So as you can see, going back to December, we've had this trend line that has kind of just been climbing up here that is used as support and then used a little bit as resistance here as it fell underneath it a little bit, then used it as support again, bounced up, came back to support, bounced up, came back to support, tried to bounce up, but then got stuck here at like the 59.5. So this 59.5 was a really strong resistance for a little while. See, so you can see it here, you can see it here. And then when it finally bounced through, it started using 59.5 as support. It even tried to use it as support here until this happened. And then this trend line had no chance of holding it. And then boom, all the way down to $49,001. What happened here? Why did this happen as fast as it did? What I believe happened was we fell through, let's look at the hourly here. So we fell through this 59.5 first, and that was a pretty big step. And it tried to hold at the trend line for a second. And then it tried to hold again here, but once it fell through, it was gone. So people have stop losses in place when you're using exchanges, and stop losses are very important, by the way. That is how you protect your money when you're dealing with trading on exchanges. So if you would have had a stop loss here, you could have saved yourself this entire down, and you could have bought back in around 52.5 or so. So trading with stop losses is very important. Remember that risk management is very, very important. So once we got here, this started happening. Once we got through this trend line, I believe stop losses really started triggering. And then once the stop losses started triggering, all of a sudden about here or so is when the velocity picked up. Let's go even to the 5-minute. So you can see like stop losses here were triggering. It tried to pick up, and then all of a sudden this happened. And the reason why this happened was because liquidation started happening. So people who were using margin trading, who were leveraging up, probably 8, 9, 10x leverage, started getting their positions liquidated by the exchanges so that the exchanges could pay back the loans. So that just creates a ton of selling pressure that no buying pressure could even hold up with. I mean, this was a monster ton. $8 million in 5 minutes. Here it was, let's see, this was $7 million and then another $8.5 million in 5 minutes. So it pushes it down. All these there's a bunch of people who have buying orders in, bounces it back up. Then another liquidation event happens because all the exchanges are finally able to keep up and start getting all these things liquidated. Keeps happening. A lot of people probably had buy order. I mean, obviously, a lot of people had buy orders in at $49,100 or $49,001. But a lot of people also probably had buy orders in around this $50,000 mark, which kind of helped hold it up a bit. And so then we see the recovery, and I'm gonna go back to the hourly. I don't like doing 5 minutes. And now what I'm seeing is possibly a little bit of a triangle formation here, where we've seen it recover up to 56.5 and then drop back down to 52.9. And as you can see, it's a little bit higher lows and lower highs. So I'm probably starting to expect this to play out here. And then where it goes in this region, I honestly do not know. It could go down. And I think this 50,000 could hold a support for a bit. I mean, look at it, really held a support here at 50,500. And it held a support here and sort of held a resistance here a couple of times. I mean, it kind of broke through it a little bit, but it still came back down. So my assumption and my guess is that if it goes downward, that we will see it hold here for a bit. It could possibly, I mean, this is where it comes into guessing, right? Like this is totally where you're just looking at the situation and trying to figure out what exactly could happen. And it's anybody's guess, which is why risk management is important, because you can be wrong. And as long as you don't lose a lot, when you're eventually right, you have all the upside to come. So I feel like it's going to consolidate into here as people try to figure out the same thing I'm trying to figure out, which way is going to go. And then I would wait for the confirmation either up or down to know what to do here. Because if it goes downward, I mean, it's going to be a buying opportunity on almost every coin. So saying that, one other thing, I was watching Benjamin Cohen, I believe is his name, on YouTube last night talk about this stuff. And he was talking about if the weekly close breaks below the 8-week moving average. Let me grab that real quick here. So let's do the 8-week moving average. If it closes, if the actual candle closes below the 8-week moving average, which is currently sitting at around 55,194, then we could see it bounce all the way down to the 20-week moving average. So let me grab that one. By the way, if you really want to follow someone who's like super in depth on this stuff, follow Benjamin Cohen. He's really good. He's way deep into it. Talks a lot of like really technical stuff. I mean, I typically like to stick with just like the basics because that's what I think it's easier that way for me. Let's see. So he said the 20-week moving average could be the downside support if we close below the 8-week moving average. And so we're looking at 42,351 for the 20-week. So, I mean, 44,000 seems like a pretty good buying opportunity if we close below the 8-week. So, I mean, I just keep that in mind. If it breaks downward through this consolidation triangle here that we're dealing with, then possibly could hold here for a bit. But on the downside, we're possibly looking at somewhere around 42 to 44. I mean, I would say probably 43 to 44 because, I mean, this 20-week average is going to go up after this closes. So that's what I'm looking at with Bitcoin. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of lessons to be learned here. It's also a lot of lessons for when you're up, take profits, keep some USDT, and make some crazy buy orders. Put in some buy orders at former supports. Because you never know what's going to happen. I mean, last night you could have grabbed 1 inch, the 1 inch exchange. You could have grabbed 1 inch at $4. You could have grabbed ADA at $1.01. You could have grabbed, what else was there? And there were so many. You could have grabbed Cake at $17.50. Like, there were a lot of opportunities to be had last night if you just had some aggressive buy orders that you were just willing to be patient on. And that's why they say the market rewards patience, because you have to just be able to just sit back and wait for the market to come to you. I mean, this is going to get interesting. Like, we got 6 hours left as of right now, 6 hours left, and the moving average is at 55.2, and we're currently sitting at 55.241. So, man, so if we are at the bottom of this, and if we're at the bottom of this triangle here, but in the next 6 hours, which would be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whew, this could be fun. This could be interesting. Because if we're at the bottom here, like that's 54,164, like that would be below the 8-week moving average. And then I think we can start to consider that it could break below this and head down to 50,000 or even 44 in the next probably week or two. But the assumption is that this 20-week moving average is the bull market support. And as you can see, we haven't even touched it since back in September, which, I mean, this could be a healthy support level hold here. And then I would say I would honestly say at this point, whatever you have in cash, I would be pouring it in. I mean, this is, oh, by the way, this is not financial advice at all. Please do your own research, make your own risks. I will not be held responsible if you buy something and it loses money. I am just saying that this could be a really good opportunity to turn USD into crypto and ride the wave back up, because this isn't, I don't believe this is over. I really don't. I don't believe this is the end of the bull run. I just think this is part of a market correcting itself. It's part of people who got in, who were absolutely crazy and just throwing money and levering up 10x just to try to make as much as possible, just getting taken out, so that the next run up is healthier, stronger, and with better buyers in place. So that's my look at Bitcoin. Sorry, this one ran a little bit long. There was just, I mean, I was in the middle of making a video last night when it started heading through this trend line, and I just had to turn it off because I knew everything was about to get blown up. And so now it's just a matter of going back and trying to find old support lines and trying to figure out where things are going to drop. And it's going to be an interesting next week. So keep an eye on things. Make sure you have your stop losses in place if you're long. I personally would not short into a bull market. I mean, you can make some money trying to do that if you want, but I think it's very risky. I'm just going to set up buy orders and just wait for the market to come to me. And even if that takes 2 weeks, I'm fine with that. You don't have to be making trades every day in order to make money. So that's what I'm looking at, and I hope this video helps you guys out. Please let me know in the comments. Please follow and subscribe, and I look forward to making more videos very soon. Thank you very much.